Man, you come right out of a comic book.
Pulp Pixel Media.
Exploring the media multiverse of geek culture.
He meddled in things potentially.
Hey everybody, it's Dr. G, the man of Nerdology. Thanks for tuning in. This is my Inktober 2019 review, starting with my lovely notebook that my sister got me from Kai Movin' and Shaken over on YouTube as well. They got it for me from Portugal, but today I'm going to be going, and here is my studio setup for Inktober. This is how I recorded a lot of my speed videos and at least of my live drawings, not my digital work. So anyway, we're talking Inktober. So this was the first one, Ring. This is actually one of the only ones that didn't end up in my smaller notebook. I did this in one of my larger books, and this is definitely me channeling my D&D kind of Robert E. Howard, Conan the Barbarian sort of vibe. But this was a nice first attempt, and I really enjoyed it. This one, probably one of the more disappointing ones, I have to say, to be honest. I really have wished, I may go back and actually redo work on this one. I don't think I'm actually done with this one, but this one is an homage to Cliff Steele of Robot Man from Doom Patrol, who's just, very much like Ben Grimm, who's one of my favorites. This is Jaws. That is the Orca. I used a reference shot for it, but this is definitely the Orca sequence, which in my mind is the best part of this movie. Like, while he's on land, it's very much like a serial killer movie, but when they're on Orca, it's the best. Mr. Freeze. In the Orca picture in this one, you can definitely start to see that there's I'm starting to do a lot more color on the page and ink on the page more and more. And I'm getting a little braver at it. You can see here I kind of like edged it closer and closer to him. Not quite sure how to sort of lay colors, but we'll see that I'll pick that up a little better. This next one, definitely, I used a lot more of my Copics, like crazy in this one. In fact, the Copics the 3 Copics, 2 of them basically ran out of the gray tones I had. But this is Iron Man, of course, but I really wanted to try to play with this idea of using these black spaces to kind of tell part of the story somehow. I'll come back to that a little later in one of the later pictures, but this one in particular, I think was it. But this one, I would say, is the first sort of breakthrough picture that I got from this. This is The Thing, and I just think like how the texture on his face and how I got the tones is something I was really struggling with, and I think it really came out well. Probably up there as one of my favorites from this. And kind of gonna start off my line of basically Marvel Tales stories and characters. The Enchantress. So this is after her Thing, I thought I would do a little more Marvel stuff. Her face is a little flat. There's not a lot of roundness to it, so I still, it's not my favorites. But again, I'm playing more with like laying colors on colors and layering with the Copics, but not using any of the white of the paper as much as possible, avoiding that as much as possible. This was this is my Fern Gully picture. No, I'm just kidding. But this was definitely for Frail, the idea of environmental story, one that is not too the scaling on this was a little tricky. The dying trees, I really didn't. I should have used a photo reference, is basically what it is. And so I'd say this is like, I'm not quite really getting it there. This one, Spidey. I really wanted to do Spider-Man. I wanted to try using the tones to represent different colors and how that works. This one though, I would definitely say the background is where I made an error. I did not lay those colors down right, and I had to kind of do some corrections as we go, as you can see there. But it's still, all in all, I think Spotty in general, aside from his kind of weird angle, turned out well. Now this one is something that's a bit rare for me, but this is a self-portrait. I basically had a picture of myself off my phone, and I just kind of wanted to do this sort of tendrils of ideas coming out of my head. I don't always do the most abstract of pictures, so this was me trying to push it. I still feel that it was very safe in that sense, so I definitely want to like push my art more, but I was really pleased with that. So this is where I was starting to work with the idea of like laying down black and then using like white on top of it. So at first the only thing I could get my hands on was actually, of all things, a Whiteout pen. So this is actually whiteout, and it's kind of nice. I gave it a little painterly. This picture, when you look at it in real, especially on the snow, actually seems a little raised above the pen, so it looks almost like a oil painting. So this was me giving my pens a break, and so this is me using like fine line Sharpies. The fine line is it's a little too fine, and filling in the colors was a problem, but overall I liked it. I kind of wish I had left this one uncolored, and I really should have, but I just really wanted to practice with it. So I definitely like how the fire turned out a little most of all, but like the shape of the dragon and everything. And I'm playing a lot of Skyrim. Okay, this one first is, I'd have to say, one of my breakout ones. At this point, I had gotten my hands on a acrylic pen, brush pen, white ink, and then I'd gotten some heavier black inks, and this is where I could sort of like lay down black and then do white on top of it, and I got these beautiful effects, and I got to start to really see what you can make pop. Another Skyrim inspired one. This is kind of the patterned after the Talos statue, but this is again this idea of like, you know, laying white on top of colors, or a darker color, to sort of produce an effect. And I was starting to kind of really start to experiment more with the idea of like these black spaces and how they represent lack of light, and how you could use the cross hatching. This, I'm really proud of this one. For a couple of reasons, but the big one is just the idea of like how the framing of it, I definitely could probably have like composed it a little better, but like the idea of like the light from your screen illuminating your arm, telling you that part of the story, and then like the light from the actual phone itself showing the beast's face. This is Wolverine. This is just straight up Wolverine. I just really wanted to see if I could get like that palette, and this is again like the skin tone was great because I was able to like come in with the skin tone using white on top to make that lighter part after there was a gray under it. So it was really a good, I was really starting to see how the technique works. A little overdone though. This one was definitely a little like overdone, like a little muddy. This one I actually stopped and did this one 3 times too, in 3 stages. But this one's good. The body shape is not my favorite, but like I definitely it's first off it's Nightcrawler, who's one of my other, you know, him and Wolverine, the 2 drinking buddies. I always think of them as drinking buddies. So and that's how they're besties. But this one was nice, and I wanted to do a little bit of a graphic in the form of a word. This one needed a little more white on thing, but other than that, I really like how Reed Richards and his costume in particular really turned out. I feel you get the really rounded sense with that. Again, this is and I'm using Sharpies at this point. Like I've gotten my hands on some gray Sharpies and a Sharpie pen, and really, in some ways, I'm almost like enjoying them more than the Copics when using these black and whites. But we're seeing that here, a little more. Just this is straight D&D, just like the first one in the very beginning. This one's like what I want out of a, D&D supplement. If there's a D&D supplement, So this one is like, I think I like that for this reason. Ghost effect again, just this whole like sort of like layering him on. This is one where I really went with the white, and I used those. You can see the brush strokes on it, so that's one's definitely using the acrylic pens. But this one's that guy's haircut that's Conan's haircut. So this is a Conan the Barbarian-esque sort of D&D, but I kind of had a whole theme. I wish I was sort of like in my mind half connecting all the three sort of dragon pictures and sort of kind of D&D-ish pictures. He-Man. Yeah, so this is He-Man and Battle Cat. I don't really draw animals very often, so just drawing this Battle Cat was good, and had a bit of photo reference to go with it. So this was a lot of fun, and I do like He-Man with his double-handed axe, so that was kind of cool too. So I got to do a little barbarian action there. And this was a lot of practice with cross-hatching a lot as well to get that effect, especially on the ground. Okay, so this one, very funnily, I thought was going to be my last one. There's been a real break in my work. I didn't complete the full challenge for Inktober, but this one I definitely wanted to have a little fun with. So Michelangelo, pizza, tasty. Thought it would work out. I did like the tones on him. This one I was really starting to understand like color values, since I stuck with like gray tones and black, white, and gray tones throughout the whole challenge. I really got to see and experience that more and really understand it more. Okay, last one. Actually, so this one was done on the fly with a ballpoint pen on a slip of paper at a bar. I think it's like the back of a receipt or something. And this is the Black Knight from the Monty Python and the Holy Grail, and was under the wire. Last one.